for centuries have been a generically patriarchal society.
What's that mean?
So, as in, men have been in charge.
No, they haven't.
What?
What? What are you talking about?
Well, men have classically
What do you
been in
mean men?
all of the...
Wait, hang on a minute. When you talk about men, do you mean more than one man?
I mean...
Do you mean all
Okay,
men?
look, I'll give you an
No,
example.
I mean,
Yeah,
in
what's he talking
general,
about? Yeah.
over the past, say,
What do you mean in general?
let's give it
That's not true.
6,000 years.
Oh, yeah?
Almost all of the positions of authority have been taken up by men.
Formal authority.
Sorry?
What are you talking about?
Formal authority.
Yeah, formal authority. I'll still give it that.
Well, what do you mean? But the point is, look, let's go back to, I don't know when you want to go back to. Be honest, it's irrelevant because we're living now and I'm talking about now. But nevertheless, let's go into that. What happened if you go back years beyond the Industrial
You can't
Revolution?
just discard that because of irrelevancy, because it's history.
No, I'm talking about it.
But
I just said I'm now going to talk about it. I'm now going to talk about it. So listen, right? Now, if you go back, let's say before the Industrial Revolution,
Yeah.
you'll find out that I don't know. We'll make it up, won't we? As I said, we don't really know. Most people were peasants.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they're peasants, they're all feeding hand to mouth. I mean, have you ever kept an allotment or anything like that?
I've not myself.
No, I have. And that's almost peasant farming, funny enough. It's very hard work. And if I was surviving on an allotment, I have to have a massive area, and you'd be working all day. You can't tell. I mean, maybe someone was coordinating it, and I don't know if they're male or
No, they
female. I
did. They
don't know.
was.
But
They
the
was
point is,
bastards.
when you're focused on staying alive, you don't get people walking around saying, I'm going to be dominant. Now, let's say that two men, let's say more than one, let's say two men, commanded the world, the earth. Okay?
Yeah.
There are absolutely two men, you could then say, men command the earth. There's only two. You see, you're actually using more than one, e.g. two or infinite, as an example of one, and saying, therefore, a man, any man in the past has actually been commanding the earth. That's not true, or commanding people. That's not true. That's not true.
No, but I mean,
What are you talking about?
if you look in the past, again, almost all positions of authority were commanded by men.
Well,
be it
tell me,
military, be it
what is
psychologically.
authority? Military, of course, men. When have you seen women fight?
Frankly, they're fighting today.
Oh,
They're
are
in
they
the
where?
army.
Up the front line, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Would you?
no.
They're on a loser, then, aren't they?
There are women on the
Listen,
front line.
okay,
You are
so
mistaken.
no, they're not.
In some countries.
No, they're not. You're making it up. You know that's not true. Listen,
Kurdistan.
if you,
In Kurdistan, there's women on the front line.
when you have women on the front line, you have a weakness. Now, in the front
Basically
line,
not true.
of course
Well, you
it's
wonder
true.
what
you
the
silly
men
man.
are up to, that the women have to fight.
Yeah, you do imagine wonder that, doesn't it? Yeah. What are the men up to when the women have to
They're
fight?
also fighting because they're
Oh, they're all
fighting,
fighting
for
too.
their country.
Okay, if you were fighting for your country,
Yeah.
and you had a gun and a bayonet on the end, and you was facing the enemy, and they're all men and they're fighting because they want your country, mainly because you've been too tolerant and they're intolerant. Do you want 50? You've got 100 people going into battle. Do you want 50 of those to be women?
That's my question.
As long as they're trained.
As long as they're trained. Oh, I see. Would you like
In World War II.
what?
Women served in the artillery in World War II.
They served in what?
The artillery.
Yeah, artillery.
They might have served in the artillery, but when it comes to listen, look, oh my God, I can't believe you. Listen, why do you think in the Olympic Games we have an A team and a B team? In an open contest, open amateur contest, as it was supposed to be. Why do you have an A team and a B team? Why?
Yeah.
Because the fastest person would win. It'd always be a man. The fastest woman
Again, not
would.
true.
And
It's
it's-
the person who's best at that thing that they're doing.
yeah, I know, and it'll always be a man. If it
be a
comes to
man.
running, it's going to be men. If it's coming to jumping, it's going to be men.
It's like saying that men are always going to be the best penis models.
Female
That
elite
doesn't mean that at
athletic
all, that's
performance
stupid.
is
Okay,
roughly
it's
the
stupid,
same
isn't it?
as
It's
elite
stupid.
male 18-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
No,
They're not going to
listen,
be the best at giving
there's
birth.
some things-
It's very hard for them not to be.
There's some things that men actually, and there's a reason for this, to protect our families. So stop.
Well, which is a classic.
Stop saying this.
Which is a
this
classic
nonsense.
paleontological logic. I mean, it's the fact that man, club, bear, make fire. It's that kind of logic. Of the fact that women can't club bear because, for the most part, they are
Married?
looking after the children.
Married?
Yeah.
Do you live together?
Yeah.
You got a house together?
No, well, we're renting.
Oh, you rent? Oh, yeah, I don't want to touch details. It's nice to know you volunteer everything. What's bank account and PIN number? No. It's night time, yeah? Have you ever had someone come into your house?
No.
No. When you think there's someone into your house, I'll tell you who gets up.
I tell you what, I'm actually more often the one who creeps downstairs to check what's going on with something in my hand, I'll be honest with you.
When there's someone down there, and there's protection required, the man will instinctively do it. And if you don't do that instinctively, there's something funny there. I tell you, there's something funny there. If you're not instinctively wanting to protect your woman,
somewhere else.
there's something weird going on. You've been infected by something. Feminism, I would suggest.
Which is, of course,
What man
killing us all.
here would not be prepared when he hears a noise downstairs to get up and go down and see what it's
Or
like?
why don't you both go up and mug him together?
What man wouldn't want to do that to protect his wife? This man would not want to.
Because are you married then?
That's weird. It's none of your business.
Well, you asked me.
Now, I know I did. I just want to know. You should have said it's none of my business. You volunteered that. I don't have to volunteer. You almost think this is some. Do you make the rules or something?
No, do you?
No, exactly. No, I don't ask you to volunteer, and you did. That was
Well, I asked you to
consensual.
volunteer and then you
Well,
told me
you're too
no.
late. You missed your chance. See, you're too slow. You missed your damn chance. Right? So most men would get up to protect their wife, whereas this man wouldn't. Or his girlfriend. But that's what happens.
That's a different
Men,
kind of business.
when there's, if you had a bunch of guys outside giving you a bunch of trouble in your town, then the vigilantes would not be the women, they'd be the men that get together,
I'm
because it's
obviously hiding
instinctive,
behind,
and if it isn't instinctive, you have to wonder about what's happening in society. Unbelievable.
Is that the point? Is that the point? Is
What?
you're worried that culture and society is breaking down because women are no longer the same female?
Society has broken down because cultural Marxism, which invented the idea of feminism and implemented it, starting in the 60s. Actually, it started before that. In 1928, a woman called Arabella Keneally wrote a book. And in that book she says, feminism, she said they should call it masculinism. It's where women want to be men. And I don't understand why women would want to be men. I really don't understand. I can understand how they might want to compete on the same level at the same things with men, but that is a bit weird because I don't want to compete on the same level for the same thing that women's
That's
like.
what you obviously
I
don't
don't
hold
do
respect
that.
for.
Where'd you get that from?
Well, in the same
Because
way
I want to
that you're
know
saying that
compete
they're
with
not as
women.
good to do X, Y, and Z jobs.
Say, do what? Say again, come in, say again. I can't believe you're real. No, I want to touch you to make sure you're actually bloody and you're warm, you know.
I'm kind of curious because I've got a PhD in agricultural science. I'm the primary breadwinner in our household, and I don't have any.
No, I'm not talking about you. Why do women always talk about me? Have you noticed that? When you talk about men in general, we say, well, men in general this, men have ruled the world. And then when I talk about women, generally speaking, they will say, well, I don't. I am a special person. I actually do weightlifting and things like
I
this.
hadn't actually made my point yet, but you obviously
No, you haven't, 'cause I'm ignoring you,
So-
because it's silly. If you get to the point, oh, listen, come on, get to the point, do it.
And my point was, does that mean you actually blame me for the breakdown of society because I actually
Not
pursue a
you.
career rather
No
than...
feminism.
But would you say I'm an advocate of feminism?
I don't know. I don't know you. You silly thing. How can I possibly know you? I can't tell what you're thinking. Why do women
But
think
you're
men know what they're
But
thinking?
this is what you're asking.
Yeah, but you haven't told me.
making an
You're
argument
saying
and
you're asking me a
deflecting-
question.
You're making an argument and deflecting someone asking, well, do you think that I abide by these ideas? I'm just curious to your viewpoint, and you're calling me stupid for assuming
Well,
that
no,
you
the argument is stupid. Why?
No, I'm
I
asking
don't.
how I fit
Put the
in. I'm
question
trying to
again.
figure out
Maybe
how
I've made a mistake here. I'm sure I have. Put it again.
I'm trying to understand your theory. Because
Yeah.
Because I kind of want to.
Yeah, I
make-
appreciate that, basically.
Because I
I really
want
do.
to make a career, and I'm
Yeah.
not really interested in having raising a family.
Yes, fair
do I
enough.
fit into this? I'm trying to understand your view. Do I fit into this collapsed society notion? I'm trying to understand.
Do you fit into what? Sorry.
This idea that society's collapsing into feminism and women deciding not to pursue the family-centred kind of role. That's what I'm trying to understand.
No, I'd say no. That's your personal choice.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was trying to
Yeah.
understand.
I mean, it's not, having, nowadays having a child is a life choice. Yeah. If you have a child, that's a life choice, definitely. But feminism is a political ideology. It's not you get male feminists with female feminists. It's a political ideology. I'm an anti-feminist. That don't mean I don't like women. Doesn't mean I don't like men. Men and women are feminists. Yeah, that's the way it is. The feminism, the idea is to promote women as being the victims of society, and invent some kind. Hang on. I'll listen to you. Hang on a second. And invent some kind of oppressor, and the oppressor is given to them, and it's called. It's word used for it. It's called patriarchy. Now, patriarchy doesn't exist. It's up there somewhere, but it's funny. It sounds very much like patron or man.
Well, that's
isn't it?
because it's the same Latin derivative. Patron
Yeah, but
is basically
it's
the male
men that men
figurehead.
aren't opposite women.
Well, if it was the
Yeah,
opposite
give me
way
an example
round,
where
it'd be a
men are
matriarchy.
oppressing women.
Well, if it was the opposite way around, it would be matriarchy, which is why patriarchy
No, it
and
wouldn't
patriarchy are
be,
the same
because
thing.
it's an invention.
Well, no, it's why you have
It's a
matriarchy
model
and
that's
matron.
created, and they've invented something that don't exist, and they've given it a word to dupe people.
Well, no,
It's called
patriarchy is-
patriarchy.
no,
I could call it, I don't know, something totally different.
Patriarchy is literally, it's the derivative of the Latin.
It
Patri
may
being
be,
male, and
but why
archy
would you
being
want
a
to invent a
father.
fantasy
Sorry?
and call it patriarchy?
Patriarch, father.
Say again, sorry?
Pater, father.
Yeah, pater father, so, and hates mater mother. It's
Yeah,
the
I
same-
know.
Hence matron and patron.
Move on. The point is, why have they chosen this word?
Because it's indicative that men are
not.
men are running the society.
No, it's not.
Well, if
It's
it was
invented.
opposite, and if it was
It's-
women
no,
running
it's
society,
not.
it would be a matriarchy.
No, it's not. It's not. What you do, you pick on something like women are paid less than men for doing the same job, which is what I talked was here earlier on when I talked about that. And they're not paid less than men because, well, they
they're
might
not
be,
getting the
but
same
it's illegal,
jobs.
right? I mean, men are paid less than men for doing the same job.
Best of luck to you.
Yeah. I'm sure you mean it. Where's lost me now? Yeah, they've invented this. If I should pick on someone and say you're a victim, yeah, then they naturally assume there's an oppressor. If you have created a model called feminism, and then you have to back it up with some kind of rhetoric, some kind of words they use, and some kind of philosophy, it doesn't have to be true. And the idea is that women are oppressed people. You have to then invent something that they're oppressed by. And if you don't have any rational reason for this, then you pick on something that lives out in the sky somewhere, and you give it a name. You could call it ash tree. Couldn't you? Call it anything you like, but they call it patriarchy. Whoa, it must be men then, mustn't it? So now the feminists say, oh, it must be men. They see through this prism and see men. They are the cause of oppression. And where have we got evidence of this then? Well, it's quite clear. Years ago, they used to have a man's wage. It used to go away, at the end of the Industrial Revolution stage, 50, 80 years ago, they used to have a man's wage. The reason is because it was the jobs that needed doing were manual, and women weren't as efficient for the big boys, so they could make their money. So they'd only take men on. Yeah, wouldn't take women on. They would if it was mills, when they need small hands, small people. Oh, they took women on then, but I don't see any women saying, hey, we had jobs then, didn't we? You don't see men saying, oh, we were oppressed, we didn't get any jobs. The kids had the jobs, but not us men, because they were too big. But the other way round, they created this way quite deliberately. That was then. So the idea is, because rich men had loads of birds, it worked out, it caused a load of trouble. So what the big harems don't go down with men. So what they had was one man earns money, gives money to wife, she goes home, he earns the money, everything works fine, because then they can make loads of money in their mills or industry. Later on, women can then go out to the workplace. Nothing wrong with that, I've never heard anyone complain about that. The reason they want people in the workplace is because women will then pay tax. You've got half the taxpayers, yeah, men, but let's double that amount of population, let's send the women out as well. And so what they did, they come along, oh, I've got an idea. What we'll do, we'll learn from the Russian method. We'll actually create victims and then create men as being their oppressors. And then all you've got to do is find evidence for that. So you say domestic violence. Let's get some stats of domestic violence. And they talk about 1 in 3 women are killed and all this kind of stuff. But they never talk about how many men are. They talk about 1 or 3 women are killed by their partners or former partners. They never say whether those partners were male or female. They never actually discuss the type of person. A lot of people, men and women, they choose serial killers almost, serially. They choose really bad people again and again and again and again. So what happens is you'll get one or other of the opposite gender beating up the other one. And they'll go down as a stat again and again and again. But the feminists will ignore the times women were beating the men. They'll ignore it. And in fact, now in law, it doesn't happen. If a woman's beating you and you're in the house, there's no witnesses, and you defend yourself, then you'll get arrested. You're not allowed to do it. You're supposed to just take it. And even then, she might accuse you of It's been known that there was a woman that burned her husband in bed. And she said that he had been oppressing me. It's the long and short of it. It's a longer story, but that's the long and short of it. She was then interviewed and she became a hero. And she got awards for being a hero to femininity. Yeah? And to defending herself. That's just ridiculous. Domestic violence, actually in the home, 80% is against each other. They're just warring people. Yeah, they do it all the time. And the rest of it is about equal. The stats on domestic violence isn't weighed for men or women. It's slightly more men, slightly more than women, I believe. But the point is, it's negligible. But the point is, even if it was like 90% men against women and 10% women against men, that 10% of men need protecting. But when you take a gender view, that 10% men will get nothing. Eh? Now, when would you work in a society where a certain sector is isolated, where they will not get protection from the same thing that 90% do? Now, the truth is that it's 50-50 approximately, but men get no protection at all, none, and it's outrageous. And I was watching some proceedings in the House of Commons just the other day, and they were talking about this kind of thing, how women suffer in domestic violence, and they were quoting women's aid statistics. Well, that's stupid, isn't it? Women's aid statistics are the ones that invented all these lies. Yeah, of course they do. It's within their interest. The more lies they invent, the more needy people they have, the more they can draw from the government, and the more they can line their pockets. And the more it satisfies the agenda. It's wrong. It's quite simple, this. Nothing, virtually nothing is gender based. They make out it is. They make out that there's racial based stuff going on. No, it isn't. You know, with Brexit, they're saying, well, I don't know about this, if we become our own island, then we'll control our borders. Well, it should be doing that anyway. They're saying this is racial hatred. No, it isn't. There's a difference between nationality, race, culture, and religion. Yeah, but you listen to them. That's their argument. You go on, you have a look. They say this is racial hatred. Well, but to me, that's racial hatred. They're forgetting that there's a load of British people that are actually of different races. They've been living here for centuries. Don't understand that. And their minds have been corrupted. They've been corrupted not by feminism, but by racism. And racism does this. It says you're black, and so therefore you're not getting very good work, are you? I've noticed that if we take a black and white comparison, if I look at certain stats, then you're not doing very well. So therefore you're a victim of white violence and oppression. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Victimhood politics. Forget it. Nothing to do with race, nothing to do with anything. If anything, it's to do with its culture. Culture is a medium, like, you know, has anyone done any biology where you create a medium with sugar and stuff in it, yeah, you grow stuff. It's called a culture medium. Now, as a group of people, as a family, you have rules in the house, yeah? And you have rules what you eat, funny enough. Talking of culture and eating, that's your culture. And the culture is about the medium that you can survive and prosper in. Often that is a balance of religion, it's a balance of law, and a balance of these things. Each culture has things that other cultures cannot tolerate. They're just absolutely intolerable. All the time they remain in those cultures, everything's fine. Physically, you can even intermix. Physically. But culturally, you can live by these rules, everything seems to work okay. But what's happening is, when you flood a country with another culture, especially a tolerant culture with an flooded by intolerant culture, then the tolerant culture will be wiped out for obvious reasons.
Are you not very frightened of this?
Yeah, of course.
Are the British people not frightened? I mean, I'm here for a few days.
Oh yeah.
And
everyone should be frightened. It's all over the place, not just Britain.
Yeah, I mean, I would be, if I were British, like I would be quite frightened of the different.
Oh, I see. Well, whenever you go through change, there's risk. Now, one thing we need to do, talk about Brexit fine. Our borders should be protected now, and they're not. Yeah, we know about Germany and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, if we want to protect ourselves, then we need to take control of our own government. You don't have a country if your rules are made somewhere else. That means there's been treachery. Yeah, so someone in this country has committed treason, that has sold out the country to another one, now claimed in this country to actually have rules based on that. There could be some kind of conflict in that person's mind. or those that support that person. Yeah. But the thing is, a country is defined by several things, and you have to keep your voice down about the first one. That is, print your own money. As soon as you do that, your head comes off. If it looks like you're going to do that, you're finished. The other one is you have your own culture on which you can know you can survive. Another one is you control your own borders. And what is another one? Think of it. You have your own army, preferably not a standing army. I'll take something out of the American, if you're American, book. Yeah, all these things. Now these Brexit people that want to stay in Europe, they're saying you're selling out my country. They don't have a country. They don't understand. They don't have a country. Somewhere else makes their rules.
What's your source, Doctor? I asked them, tell me to read the Quran. I asked a Christian to tell me to read the Bible. Which book should I read? What you're saying.
What's your source?
Sorry, give me a comment.
What's your source? What you're saying? Of the elements of the government, of the country.
Elements coming. One was the protection of your borders.
What's your source?
What's my what?
That's where you got all these elements from.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I got from looking at other countries. From looking at other countries.
Look,
how can you look? Let's take it down. Let's take it down to village level. You know, years ago they used to build London. Used to have a wall around it.
Yes.
Yeah, and Eastgate, and Cripplegate,
yes.
you know, and all these gates on it. Yeah, they did that for a reason, because the people that lived in there, they traded among each other. You don't need many people. When you trade, you use some method of trading, usually money. Now, if you've got money, it has to stay steady. Money should never, the value of money, the amount of money in circulation should never ever change. Okay, you can't just go printing it, that would be stupid. Oh, well, they do that now, don't they? You never change it, yeah? And so you need means of protecting that. You do that by protecting the borders. Hang on, sorry, so I've got to move on. And so they've got to, I respect you, but I've got to move on. So that, now if you had some people coming into that village, let's say London, city of London, if you had someone coming in that was Trojan horsing, and they aimed to take over, they must be detected. Just like your body, you need an antibodies. You need an army. That's the army. Yeah. So you've got borders, you've got an army, you've got your money stabilised. So there's three things. You only have to look on a small basis. Can you think of anything else you might need within there? Laws.
Switzerland doesn't have an army.
Huh?
Switzerland. Swiss.
If Switzerland was invaded, they would find one pretty quick. They might not have a standing army, and I don't mind that, the idea, in theory, because armies, we know why. You know why you shouldn't have a standing army? It's because a standing army can commit treason. They're the most powerful people. They can do a military coup. That's why you should never have a standing army. But the idea, everyone should own guns, like they do in America, so that if they need to, they can draw a standing army to protect their country. That's what the Second Amendment's about. Okay? And they're trying to take that away because there's a military coup. It's called the Pentagon. It's military coup against the world, not against they're marching through the globe. The Pentagon is bombing a country per year for how many years? And everyone looks and goes, oh, there's naughty Muslims, you know, who they know nothing about. I mean, that's all been set up. But I don't want to go into that. Okay, so you've got a city of London in my dreams here. You've got the borders that you protect. You've got your money that stays stable in it. I mean, you have to say more. It's gone now. Now, what happens if someone wants to migrate into your town? Yeah, you've got to watch your step. Is there enough food? Right, straight away, got to look at that. This on the base level. Is there enough food? And if you think this is old-fashioned and doesn't occur now, in the States, do you have many preppers in the States? Could get some food in. Oh, where from? Oh, Ireland. Blimey, you need preppers there more than ever. It's interesting, isn't it? Because that's where the accent comes from, the States. Anyway, but there's lots of people, they keep food, right? They're not for religious reasons, because they know that when it comes down, it comes down. People here think nothing's going to happen. Oh, no, it can't happen. I mean, Ukraine was starved out not so long ago. And that's a country that was exporting wheat to the world. They were starved out. And you think it's safe. So you have borders that you control, you check your food. If people want to migrate in, you make sure that they're beneficial to your society. If you want to go to Australia, by the way, and you want to get in there, they'll say, well, who's sponsoring you? Whoops, you've got to find someone who can pay the impact. If you want to work there, they'll say, what can you contribute? Otherwise you won't come in. Yeah? Now with the people who are anti-Brexit, they're saying people should just come in. And yet they say otherwise you're a bunch of racists. They don't say the Australians are a bunch of racists. Where's that? It's because it's not thinking straight. So yeah, you can't. Another thing is, if you let people come into the country, into the town, let's say, and just open up your doors and let them come in, you don't know who they are. So if someone goes and commits a crime, you can't take them to court because they don't exist. Because you only exist on paper. Because law is paperwork, nothing else. It's paperwork. And so if they have no reason, they can do as you like. An illegal immigrant is not so much illegal, it's non-legal. They have no status, so they can do as they like. They're outside the matrix. They can never be taken to court. There's nothing to take them to court. You can't charge them. Where do you live? Don't exist, mate. You know, what are we going to do? Cough up? There's nothing here. You know, as naked as the day they were born. I admire the freedom, actually. I admire it. Yeah. So you have to protect, if you want organisation, you have to protect your doorways. Now, if someone wants to come in and they look as if they're very useful, they can actually contribute, you know, then you say, okay then, stand outside in that place marked Q, quarantine. Because I don't know, you might have syphilis or something. You might have a disease that you might bring in here. I just want to check you out. Because otherwise you could wipe the whole bloody place out.